BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. When you take the time to study your life, to reflect on who you've been and imagine who you're becoming, you unlock something that's incredibly powerful. It's the ability to change your direction with purpose. Your next season doesn't start with motivation. It starts with awareness. It starts with you studying your story, learning from it, and growing to be better. What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to Season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Coleman Gearhart. I was an overweight kid, one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work. Welcome back to the BTB Project. My name is Coleman Gearhart, and I'm super excited today to tap into a mini series that will 100% change your life. Being a 22-year coach, the BTB Blueprint is something that I've been able to work on, not just in my own personal life, but many of other individuals' lives that have come to me with a goal, dream, or ambition, and to systematically put them on a roadmap for their success. And one thing that I've learned when it comes to the BTB Blueprint is step one is often the most challenging. You know, I've learned that one of the hardest things to do in life is to be honest with your own story. We spend so much time trying to fix what's in front of us without ever looking back and understanding how we actually got there. But before you can transform or go after any goal, dream, or ambition in your life, your habits, your relationships, your health, your purpose, all of it, you have to be able to take a step back. And you have to stop and study your story. I often find myself looking in the mirror. Typically, it's in the morning, and with daylight savings time, it's always a little bit dark, so it's sometimes hard to see myself. But I'm very intentional when I look in the mirror, because it's important to understand who you are, who you're becoming, where you want to go before you take on the day, before you go and impact other people's lives. So step one of the BTB Blueprint is by far the most critical. Are you willing to study your story? And when I say study, I don't mean overanalyze or beat yourself up for the things that haven't gone your way, where you've come up short, where you've let people down, where you've let yourself down. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about looking at your life like you would review a job description for a job that you're applying for. Or if you're an athlete, reviewing game film after a tough loss, or that test that you just got back in math class. It was a 38%, but you have an opportunity to receive feedback and get corrections. That's the part that's most important. What plays worked when things didn't go your way on that film? What things worked on the math test that didn't go your way? What about that job description? Actually, you see keywords that fit who you are, that build confidence for you to want to apply. You see, you have to be able to take your past and pull the silver lining from it to propel yourself to the future. Things like, what mistakes did you repeat that you knew were mistakes, but now you can recognize it? What patterns kept showing up that maybe you've been ignoring? Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it's a limiting belief that you always have in your head. This aspect of studying and understanding who you are allows you to have the pattern interrupt that's important to be drawn back to present, to be able to do something extraordinary. You see, awareness is the first step to your purpose, to your built to be journey, because you can't transform what you won't acknowledge. You can't change who you are unless you know where you've been. When I was younger, I thought changing my life meant pushing harder. You know, I had the little brother syndrome. My older brother was 4 years older than me, and he reminded me of that every day. He was the athlete in the house, much more competitive than I was, had the athletic physique. I was far from that in my childhood. But as I started to go after my goals, I did so by pushing through everything I possibly could, training more, hustling more, trying to prove people wrong. But the truth is, real growth started when I slowed down, when I was able to have more of those moments of looking at myself in the mirror. And I finally asked myself, why was I doing what I was doing? What was I built to be? So here's something powerful I want you to do today as step one of the BTB Blueprint. I want you to go ahead and grab a piece of paper. It can be a white sheet of paper, it can be lined, doesn't matter to me. Don't overthink it. Just grab that piece of paper, and I want you to draw 2 lines from top to bottom to make 3 columns. Those columns are going to have very specific attributes for this exercise. At the top of the first column, I want you to write down where I've been. In that column, you can write down some of the defining moments in your life. I'll use some of the defining moments in my life as an example. Being able to lose 100 pounds in 13 months. Being able to graduate high school. I failed math 3 times. So taking that community college class to be able to graduate. The amount of times that my brother gave me a hard time, little brother syndrome, being duct taped to flagpoles, the times that I went through the adversity with my mother and being a child of an alcoholic, those moments that I had with my cousins that did something to me that caused unbelievable pain, unbelievable trauma. So, between the wins, the losses, the heartbreaks, the lessons, the things that shaped who you are today is what I want you to write down in that first column. Maybe it was a failure that humbled you. Maybe it was a victory that taught you confidence that you never had. Maybe it was a season of struggle that showed you your strength and who you really are. Get that on paper. Column one. Because when you put your story in front of you, your story actually stops controlling you in that moment. The pen to pad takes everything that you've been through and it puts it into the present. You start to see it for what it is. That everything that you've been through is actually the foundation of your built to be journey, not the finish line. So now in the second column, I want you to write on top who I want to become. This is where you start dreaming again. You take all of those things in the past and now you fast forward and think of the future. This is where I want to start dreaming again. This is not about achievements or championships or material things. I'm talking about the type of person you want to be. Who do you see yourself or want to look like in the next 5 years? That question, ironically, is asked to me often in interviews. And I'm sure for those of you tuning in that have been in a job interview have been asked, what's your goal in 5 years? And to give you an example, I've been really stuck on this ability to be aspirational. There's different levels in life. And I've been able to, by the grace of God, influence and impact people as a coach to help motivate them to also be inspirational, having a inspirational story that motivates them. But aspirational is someone that not only changes people's lives, but the lives that you change, they go change other people's lives and other people's lives. And it's this ripple effect of impact. So when I did this exercise, I definitely have aspirational on the type of person I want to be. Make it very clear. What does this version of you look like? Be specific. How do they speak to themselves? What are the things that you're saying to yourself when you're in the level that you're at? How do you handle pressure? What kind of energy do you bring to a room? We often are the thermostats of our lives. Are you going into a room at 100 degrees? Or are you only going into a room at 50 degrees? Be honest with yourself on the type of impact you want to be. Most people don't struggle because they don't work hard enough. They struggle because they've stopped envisioning who they're becoming. They've become stagnant, stale, losing motivation, losing hope. Those are the ones that, when they get to their deathbed, look back and say, oh my goodness, I'm on my deathbed, but I've been dead for 40 years because I haven't been living my life. I've just been trying to be in the rat race, fit in with everybody else. This is your built to be journey. So be honest on who you want to become. Let yourself dream. Dream in detail. Dream about the kind of person you want to wake up as tomorrow. Now, the third column, I want you to write, what's holding me back? So we've had this first column of reflection of who we are, the second column of who we want to become. Now, the third column is what's holding me back? This is where you get real honest. What are the fears, excuses, distractions that are keeping you stuck? What are the things when you really think back to how some of this stuff played out in your life? How much of it is where you can point the finger at yourself? Is it comparison? Is it getting too comfortable? Is it self-doubt? Maybe it's the voices from the past that keep whispering that you're not enough. I dealt with that limiting belief syndrome for quite a long time in my life, especially the first 14 years. And that big teddy bear mentality that I had, that was my alter ego. I lived, breathed that stereotype. When people wanted to poke fun at me, I always felt like I was never going to be good enough. So I have that in my third column. Because when you name it, when you name what's holding you back, it begins to lose its power. Once you see it on paper, you can finally stop blaming it and actually take steps to start changing it. Here's the last piece that I want you to do for this exercise. It's at the bottom of your page. I want you to write down one question. What am I doing today to move closer to who I want to become? That question, that one line on your paper, that's your new standard. That's your new standard for your step one of your built to be journey, of your BTB blueprint. Because this step isn't about judging your past. It's about learning from it. When you study your story, you stop being the victim of it. I was tired of all those years of a victim mentality. And sometimes I find myself tapping back into it. But it's the foundation, it's the brick and mortar of our lives. It's those power statements, being present, of becoming 1% better every day, that changes the entire trajectory of your life. You become the author of what happens next. Look, I get it. It's not easy facing your story. There's people tuning in today that have been through some really hard things. I understand that this exercise is uncomfortable. It's vulnerable. Writing down some of these things, it becomes real, becomes in the forefront of your mind again. All the stuff that you've pushed away for many years. But that's where the transformation starts. When you take the time to study your life, to reflect on who you've been and imagine who you're becoming, you unlock something that's incredibly powerful. It's the ability to change your direction with purpose. That's what the BTB project is all about. So hear me out. This week, you have your 3 columns. Start doing the work. Fill out those 3 columns. Reflect, write, and start dreaming who you're built to become. And if you're ready to go deeper, if you're ready to rebuild who you are, your purpose beyond sports, beyond athletics, beyond whatever that next chapter is going to be in your life. That's exactly what the BTB Blueprint was built for. Because your next season doesn't start with motivation. It starts with awareness. It starts with you studying your story, learning from it, and growing to be better. Listen. If this introduction to the BTB Blueprint, the importance of studying your past, doing the 3 column exercise, if this impacted you, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the BTB project. Better yet, send this message to a family member, friend, or colleague. Have them get started on their own BTB Blueprint journey. We're going to be able to dive deep into who we're becoming in a step-by-step applicable way for you to use these tools in your life to change your life and to go do something extraordinary. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.